You're listening to the Grit to Growth podcast. Real talk with real business owners and professionals who built their freedom the hard way and now want more time, money, and impact.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Levi Te Slaa with Mailbox Money in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Today, I'm joined by Mason Leiseth. Mason has built a career focused on manufacturing and business leadership. He's known for finding ways to streamline operations, coach strong teams, and keep organizations moving forward even in the face of challenges. His approach blends strategy with practical problem solving to help businesses grow and stay competitive. Mason, welcome to the show.
Hey, Levi. Well, glad to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking time out of your day, sir, to talk with me and our audience. So let's get kind of the starting point. Give me some of your background and how you grew into what you're doing today, sir.
Yeah, I grew up in the Hayti, South Dakota area on our family farm, and that's kind of where I got my first introduction into, we'll call the manufacturing heavy equipment industry. My uncle owned a small fab and weld shop focused mainly on equipment repairs for farmers. So naturally, when something would break down on our farm, I would wind up at the shop. So that was kind of my first introduction into all things metal fabrication, and really started a path of really passion for that kind of industry. I went to South Dakota State for mechanical engineering and got my master's and bachelor's from there while playing football. And really that started on the path of I like to build things. I like to learn new things. I like to build things. And that transitioned into industry very seamlessly. I didn't know at the time how that would interact. But looking at my past and my history, I always would try to learn how can we make this better? How can I build something? And that has now transitioned into building organizations, streamlining processes, looking at more of a global industry. The way the world has shifted, especially in the last 20 years, it's no longer, what is my neighbor doing? How can I stay competitive with him? You're dealing on a global supply chain, and that's really my passion, is reindustrializing the United States in a way that is competing with China, competing with India, competing with our neighbors to the south in Mexico, and really being that total OEM solutions provider. And when you look at it like that, there's a lot of challenges there, but it's a lot of really unique opportunities that really hasn't been around for 20, 30 years. And I'm looking to push a lot of the industry forward that way as a young entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's very exciting stuff. Obviously, that's very prevalent. Everyone knows about, tariffs going on, the push for um, American-made stuff. How has that kind of affected what you're doing?
Yeah, so kind of my little bit of a backstory to that. I started my career at Twin City Fan in Brookings there, but quickly grew into a leadership role that included all 5 domestic plants for them on more of the engineering side, but it started transitioning into product development. And so I actually wore a lot of hats. So everything from front end fabrication to the sales cycle, aftermarket, operational management. I was able to really learn a lot of things there, and transition from there to a smaller mid-sized shop, horizontal machining manufacturing in Huron, South Dakota, where we grew that very quickly in the course of 3 years. But at that point in time, I was kind of looking at what's my next step. And really, I want to own a manufacturing business. I want to grow it because I see the challenges that are facing the U.S. right now. And a stat that really always jumps out is every 7 welders that are leaving the industry, only 1 is coming back.
Wow.
So that's a gap that we have to reindustrialize, and it's got to be my age group, kind of that age 30 range, that kind of puts a line in the sand that says, no, we gotta do something about this. So trying to be passionate about it, trying to bring other like-minded people together, and really driving the industry forward into the next generation of really, I feel, the next golden generation for industrial manufacturing.
Yeah, that's great. I can tell you're passionate about it, and I think it's a great thing to be passionate about. As far as kind of trying to solve that problem, what are some kind of steps that you're taking towards that? Is that getting in education early, or walk me through some of those things?
Yeah, it's a multi-tiered approach. At a minimum, when you're looking at a lot of these fabrication manufacturing facilities, it comes down to the people and the culture, understanding the why behind what we're doing, and that's why it changes your scope of thinking when you're not competing with just your next door neighbor. When you're looking at industry as a whole, how can we utilize the people we have? How can we build their skill sets? How can we drive efficiencies and drive down our costs internally? And those are all things that we can control. And then giving them the tools to be successful is a key component of that. The other phase of that is robotics, automation. We can start. How do you pair capital equipment not just on a one-dimensional piece, but how does that one piece of capital equipment fit with the next one and then the next one, and get really a linear process flow within manufacturing that a lot of our competitors are doing, but we have that full opportunity to do that here in the United States. Now the next phase of that is, okay, everyone, especially 30 years old or younger, is all digital. Everyone's on
Yep.
their iPhones, everyone's on their iPads, on a computer all day, and that's the people that are coming in the industry. You don't have people that have been turning wrenches and working with their hands growing up as much. So how can we change industry to be more laser focused on giving them that kind of digital cues to be excited about it, to come to work passionate about. They're changing the industry. They're making things work. They're building equipment that builds roads, bridges, clears pathways in forests. It lifts things in the air. Like those are all things that drive our day to day. That really makes a difference in the grand scheme of things. So it's more than just a job, is how I see it. It's you're actually making a difference in the world and in the equipment that you're building and the people that you're surrounding yourself with.
Yeah, talk to me on for people who don't really understand the process of machine shops and all that. What does it look like? Who are you guys? What's your customers? Who you're servicing? And the basically the industry, kind of in a nutshell for people who don't know it.
Yeah, so now I am actually consulting on my own as I'm transitioning, but we'll just go back to machine shops as a whole. Um, some just do cutting, some do just machining, some just do finishing. So there's a lot of different tiers within that. What I'm pressing for is really a total OEM solution. So customer has, can you do X, Y, and Z part? Some will say we can only do this, we can only do that. The goal is that we can do it all under one roof and really be the ultimate provider for one customer or multiple customers in different avenues and different revenue streams. And when you do that, the supply chain, we saw that in COVID, it was really stretched. When you're getting
Absolutely, it
things
was.
overseas, even when you're getting things in multiple different vendors, creates a strain in your supply chain. So creating a manufacturing facility that from cutting material to tacking, welding, machining, finishing, delivering that assembly ready weldment to an OEM is critical as the industry moves forward. But again, that takes a lot of different people with a lot of different skill sets. And that's where I get back into the capital equipment needed, the linear flow, the intelligence systems required to manage that data, drive results focused, and keep the people that are passionate about it driven every day, that they are making a difference with the U.S. and where we need to be at from an industrial manufacturing facility.
Yeah, awesome. So you said you've now made the kind of transition into consulting more. When you're first going into a business to help them with their product, what is kind of the 10,000 foot view of what that looks like? What are you looking for, and what do you tweak from there?
Yeah, every business has different needs. And that's where I've been very blessed in my career, very early to have touch points in every facet of of these businesses. So it's really looking at, and some companies will come to me with a very specific pain point that they have in mind, and some will just be looking to, grow 50% over the next couple of years. What are the challenges that they may face, whether it's personnel, equipment, process, customer concentration, revenue verticals. So I'm able to everyone's different, but ultimately, even if a customer comes to me and says, we think it's this, but we're not sure. There's a lot of touch points in that, and I'm very big on the visionary side. I've got a knack of seeing, okay, this is the end goal, and how do we get there? So it might be one certain area, but that might be impacted by another. And so it might be operations is having issues. Well, is that a sales function or an engineering function? Or engineering is having problems with these parts. Is that a CapEx piece of equipment? So a lot of these are very, they all are intertwined, that's why I love about the manufacturing industry, is that it is complex. But how do you simplify it for everyone to be on the boat, rowing in the same direction with the same goal in mind? And that's what I really have a passion for.
Not to sound too cliche, but it sounds a lot like a football team to me when you're
Yeah.
describing that.
Yeah. So that's, and that's where everything I look back in my life, it does tie to the team focused goal. Everyone has a role to play, whether you're a welder, you're a machinist, you're a painter, all the way up to the CEO. Everyone has a role to play, making sure that the right person in the right seat mentality, kind of that EOS model. I'm also a big proponent of that. But ultimately, it's focusing on, is the system in place to make those individuals successful? Is there a process that makes them successful? And it's not, well, this person isn't doing the right thing and they got to go. I focus very much on process and systems way before I'm looking at people to make sure that we're giving them the tools and the vision to be ultimately successful long term.
That's great. That's great. I kind of crept on your LinkedIn and bio, and you talk about, balancing efficiency and quality. How do you make sure one doesn't come at the expense of the other?
Yeah, that really ultimately focuses on what process do you have, and is the equipment you're using suited for what you're trying to accomplish. And you can do both things, and whether it's hard or soft fixturing. Is it a 5-axis machine center? Is it a bridge mill? Is it a plasma versus a laser? Like, all those factors come into it. And then are you giving the designs or drawings to an individual to make them be ultimately successful? So there's always going to be a little bit of a trade-off. But ultimately, when you're looking at a total OEM solution driven basis, when you're focusing on quality and you're making sure that you're driving what I consider death by 1,000 cuts out of the process, where an operator is used to, he's always got to grind this part down to get it to fit. The paperwork isn't there. Like, all these things in manufacturing just become tribal knowledge. And that's really where I'm trying to drive the industry forward. Is tribal knowledge is good until it's not there. And kind of calling back on the 7 welders going out of the industry and one coming in, that's almost every individual that's touching these things. So how can we get that knowledge on a digital basis, that we can bring in someone that's new and they can be trained very quickly? They have the tools that are given to them right away. Then it's also tying into CapEx. How can we use capital expenditures and equipment that is newer, that you can train someone really available, that drives that quality at the source versus a lot of extra touch points just to get a product out the door? So there's a balance there. But the magic is understanding where to play at and where to win at, and really being laser focused on those things.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So obviously we're kind of right in the heart of the transition of America trying to bring back manufacturing here and everything. What do you kind of see in the next? Let's take it in the next year and then next 5 years. What's on the horizon?
Yeah, within the next year, we've already seen a lot of movement trying to reindustrialize U.S.-based domestic manufacturing. But again, that's something that you can't just turn a light switch on. A lot of these components, they are complex. They do strain supply chains. There's not enough people. So now it's a balance of, do you have the capacity? Can you grow quickly with that demand and that capacity need? So for this next year, there's going to be that kind of back and forth of, is there even enough people to do the work here in the U.S.? And really, the ultimate answer right now is no. So it's that delicate balance of, can we recruit new individuals to our companies? Can we make sure that we have the right equipment to make those parts happen, to not have to have 3,000 people to do these parts? Can we get by with 2,000 people to do these parts with the right equipment? So it's that delicate balance in the next year and the next 5 years, I think, with, again, super high focus on playing in those avenues, making sure that everyone is on the same boat within each company. You're going to be able to see a lot of results. So I think OEMs are still on the fence on, can we totally source to the U.S.? But I think that's where I try to get the message out, especially to younger individuals, that the time is ripe to get into this industry and really drive things forward. So I think 5 years from now, the U.S. is going to be sitting in a really good spot with like-minded individuals like myself. And there's a large group that I'm starting to network with that have that same passion in mind. So I'm really excited for the next 5 to 10 years of what U.S. manufacturing looks like.
That's awesome. So obviously you're from South Dakota and now you're starting to travel around a little bit more. What's one thing about the state that's shaped you, and what's something that you would like to see maybe people from other places around the country start realizing?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to travel all around the U.S. And globally in the manufacturing sector. So a cool thing is taking all those learned experiences and looking at South Dakota, born and raised here, and saying there's an opportunity here. And it comes down to the business climate and the cost of living is why I'm very bullish on South Dakota in particular, but I think ultimately the Midwest, where you see the West and East Coast cities that used to be really heavy industrialized, where the cost of living, the labor pool is getting shorter, that there are people actually moving out of those areas to the Midwest to find jobs.
Yep.
And right now it comes down to, we got to start pushing forward on that and recruiting those kind of individuals that like kind of the small town living, that like kind of the slower paced lifestyle, clean air, and those kind of things, that they want to be in industries that are really touching all parts of the globe with the equipment that they're making. So it's a really cool spot to be in. From an industry perspective, I think South Dakota is really doing a good job of trying to push that forward with a lot of the economic development side of things. I'm really close to that. So you see a lot of movement coming forward versus other states. And I think the more we can push that, the more South Dakota will take a really prime spot in the manufacturing foothold in the next decade and 2 decades moving forward.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. Well, Mason, for people who are listening and they want to connect with you or learn more about what you're doing, or learn more about the passions that you have, where would you send them, and what's the best way for them to find that?
Yeah, easiest way would be on LinkedIn. Send me a message. Connect with me on there. You can also send me an email to my personal email. I don't know, Levi, do you want me to put that on here or
Yeah,
shout it out?
go ahead, and we'll
Yeah,
also
so
throw that in the show description. So
Mason, Mason dot Leiseth, Leiseth at outlook.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. And from there, obviously, you'll be able to get my cell phone number from there, and then we can connect either virtually or I'm traveling and love to sit down face to face, meet like-minded individuals, and let's keep pushing this train forward. I'm very passionate about U.S. industry base, and the time is now to have everyone pushing in the same direction.
perfect. Well, Mason, thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights. with me and our guest today. It was really awesome to see someone who cares so much. So thank you again.
You bet, Levi. Happy to be on here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Know someone with serious grit and a great growth story? Send them our way at grittogrowthpodcast.com/guest.